I did not know how to feel about Sammy and Gunther. Great match. Um,
Yeah,
Not as good as the Gable matches with Gunther on Raw leading up to it. Um, I really was kind of like, what the fuck? Why isn't Gable going up for it? I felt like that would have been a bigger win than Sammy at this point. Not that Sammy wasn't a good choice either, because it really was for the same
yeah,
reasons that Gable are. I just feel like Gunther style, Gable style, that those classics leading up to it, and just like that, like complete underdog dethroning the complete like it's David and Goliath. I felt like that would have been way more crazy. And I call me biased because I've been 2016, 17. I was over there praising Gable, singing his song. So maybe that, I don't know, but
no, I feel you on that. I was surprised. I was surprised that Zany won. Um, I thought run with Gunther. Um, and I liked the match. Again, I felt like you know a lot of these matches were overshadowed by the main events. You
yeah,
know, so there was just something a little off on the in my opinion. I mean, I trust me. There's some hardcore fans who follow these guys through and through, and I'm not one of them. But I am a fan of the from the outside, kind of looking in a little bit, like just kind of like you know as a whole. And yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed that better than the Usos. It was definitely better than that.
yeah.
Um, and Perc Gable, I like him. I like him. One of my favorite wrestlers back in the day was Kurt Angle, and then we talked about him when he turned into Perc Angle in TNA, where he was taking backflip dives off the stage and off the cage, and you know what I mean, and steel chair shots, and he was just screaming, ah, you know what I mean, just
Fucking
fucking
animal, dude.
yeah. I mean, what a fucking what an entertainer that guy was. So uh Perk Gable, Gable's pretty much he's pretty funny. I saw
Pretty
some of his
funny.
promos. I like him. He's funny as hell. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think he's funnier than Zane than Sammy,
oh
you know.
yeah, oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
think
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying. Like
I think
Gable has the mic too, and it's like,
yeah.
so I'm okay with him going into full healed Perk Gable, because then it's like, okay, now his mic work gets turned up to 10. Uh,
Yes. And I feel like Sammy just kind of forces it a little bit. And this guy Gable's like a natural. He's just funny to laugh at. He's just got that and he's got the same
the
quality as Kurt.
expressions and stance and stuff, and like
Yeah,
posture.
his facial expressions. Like that's why we loved Kurt. And Kurt came
Yeah.
out with the what was Kurt Angle?
Motherfucker.
Yeah, what was Kurt Angle when he first came out? He's like, "Oh, it's true, right?" Like he just had that,
Damn
like
true.
you're looking at the greatest, you know what I mean, American, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was the gold medalist,
Yeah.
he was.
With a
I
broken
love,
freaking neck.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like this guy definitely takes a little bit from Kurt, and so yeah, he's
Yeah.
got that whole
Uh,
gimmick. I like it. I like it.
I like it, and I'm excited for Perk Gable. That promo that he did with when he turned to Alpha Academy, and he was like insulting them. That's classic Angle.
No, yeah,
That's
that was good. That was good too.
and
Yeah.
say, oh, he's biting his character. Who gives a fuck?
You know
Who gives
what?
a
If it's done right, who cares?
exactly?
If it's forced, then you could tell.
Yeah,
And I feel like it's not forced here. I feel like he just kind of has the same background, and even if he's coming off as obviously a fan of Kurt,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I can accept
Mm,
that, especially in nowadays, in the wrestling, I could accept that angle, and yeah, it should be interesting.
some
It
people
should.
just forget how old that is, like how long ago that was.
Oh man.
So
So I'll tell you, and I couldn't even tell you the year. I think it was like 1999, maybe 98, 99. I think. Um, Kurt Angle was like fresh, but he was already like he had like a little streak. He came into WWE like undefeated. Excuse me. And it was I believe it was the King of the Ring, and they debuted Taz. All right, and Taz is coming straight out of ECW, and this is before all the crossover stuff. You know what I
yep.
mean? Like this is like if you were WCW or you were WWF or you were ECW,
Yeah.
and you know the pop that Taz got. It rivals any Stone Cold pop. Anybody watching this right now want to go see a great pop, crowd pop? You just put in Taz debut, and it's when versus Kurt Angle. It's one of the greatest pops you'll ever see. And Taz ends up going over in that match, but Kurt Angle was just already great on the mic. I mean, he was so new, and he just got so much heat for being like a square. You know what I mean? And it was like perfect, man. I mean, that's what wrestling's about. You know what I mean? Just like you can't teach that. That's just you
Yeah.
either got it or you don't.
Right.
And he fit perfect in that attitude error, even though he wasn't he had a different type of attitude. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was gold, man. I love that
Yeah.
shit.
Um, you really do got to have it or not. And it's like back in the day, like you were saying, those pops, like Chris Jericho,
Oh,
before everything went like that, when they would come from a different promotion, it was crazy.
I mean, the build up for Jericho too. So I was a big WCW fan, and Jericho was awesome, right? But he was always the mid card. He was, you know what I mean, and he was never in the main event, and that's probably why he left. Obviously, I mean, but the build up where they had the Millennium Clock count down for
Oh yeah,
weeks at a time before he even showed up, and then of course The Rock comes out. And dude, it's the classic Rock, right? I mean, it's the Rock. Like he's not even a heel, but he's like definitely giving out all his heel material. You know what I mean? But he's not even a heel. The fans love him.
yeah,
And then boom, that the countdown hits. And nobody knows who the hell it is because there's internet, but barely. Right. I
yeah.
mean, back then,
Barely.
there was internet, but it was like, it wasn't as big or there wasn't as many forums. You know what I mean? It wasn't, all the cheat sheets, you know what I mean, that they have
Yeah,
now. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, just another crowd pop when it came Jericho across the Titantron.
But
Um,
you know
yeah,
what I think about that though? The biggest problem with people not realizing how long ago all that was is if they take the same timetable from then and take a '60s wrestler, is the same person complaining that Gable took after Angle or Knight took after Rock and Austin? Are they complaining about the '90s people taking inspiration from the '60s people?
that's actually a really good point. That's actually a really good point because no, not at all. I mean, it's like night and day.
Yeah,
And you're right. One of my favorites was obviously was Hulk Hogan, and he took his whole gimmick from oh god, I can't think of his name right now. Uh, it's gonna come to me. But he took the blonde hair. He took he took the poses. What's his name?
regardless, you're
Yeah, I
right.
can't think of it, man.
And
I'm so
the
mad.
thing
I
about
can't think of
gimmick
it right now.
is a,
What?
a
What's
gimmick
that?
can be the thing about gimmicks is a gimmick could be really bad but the right person makes it really great.
Yeah.
Or you can have a gimmick that's really great, uh, but if you have the wrong person use it, it can really just destroy it. So it really
Sure.
is on the
Sure.
person if it's done right. And if it is
Sure.
done right, it shouldn't be an issue because it's not like the whole point of the gimmicks is to draw on a certain set of traits, emotions, personality. They're trying to get in with this type of person, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there's only so many of those like areas to cover, So, I mean, what do
Right.
you want? You want all jobbers? Because the only people who are never going to take after other successful people are jobbers, and they're
Sure. Sure.
unsuccessful ass gimmicks.
Yeah. Well, that, and so we always want originality, right? But at the same time, you know, like you said, if one of the, if it can be done right, and done
I
with
mean,
the right person,
everybody is inspired by someone, right? When they grow up, and
no
it's not
doubt.
just wrestlers. We generate a personality based around certain influences, right?
Right.
So we're gonna find if we found The Rock funny, we're gonna find people who talk and sound like The Rock funny because we
Yeah.
talk and sound like them when we tell jokes and stuff because
Yeah.
we think it's funny. So you can't tell me, "Oh, I'm a fan of The Rock. I'm a fan of The Rock. I'm a fan of The Rock," but I hate LA Knight because he copied the style.
I was gonna say LA Knight, jumped right into my mind.
You're, but you like that. So
Yeah.
other people like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you may not like that he copied it, but a lot of people are like, whatever, dude. That's funny. I haven't seen that kind of funny since The Rock.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
No,
our
I
turn.
totally agree.
Fuck him.